Morning, everybody. How you all doing? I hope you're doing really, really well. So let's get into this. Bit of a housekeeping video today. Bit of a how I think about things and why the channel moves in the direction that it's moving. So first up, a little bit of housekeeping. So I've had a few people lately come and say to me that their comments have been disappearing off of YouTube in the comment sections of my video, and some of them have even said they've unsubscribed because of it. And that's fair enough, that's their choice. But this is due to ignorance of what YouTube is. Because a lot of people think that YouTube is a free speech platform. It's not. YouTube is not a free speech platform. Now, YouTube has its own terms of service, and they've become so nebulous, so encompassing, that you have to really be careful what you say in the comments. I mean, admittedly, some of these people have even said they've said some spicy things in the chat about Keir Starmer and other things. Well, the thing is, if you do that, the YouTube AI, the algorithm, whatever, will remove your comment. Lots of people are now aware of this. They know it's not content creators removing comments, it's YouTube. What you have to think is, YouTube acts as a publisher. It acts like a newspaper. So if you post something that is ideologically against what Google or YouTube believe, your comment will be removed. Now, this has been a long debate among content creators because YouTube gets special conditions levied upon it. I'm sure somebody in the chat will tell me what those special conditions are. They're not treated as publishers. They're treated as an online social media site. But really, they're acting as publishers because they remove content that disagrees with their worldview or their politics. And that's usually the stance of a newspaper or a publisher. Now, they get special exemptions in law because they don't act as publishers, even though they do. And one of those exemptions is exemption from being sued by people for removing their content. And a lot of people have been arguing that maybe President Trump should revoke that status from online, not just YouTube, but all online social media that act like publishers. Because if they're removing content that isn't harmful, it's not causing anybody, a threat or anything like that. If they're removing content like that, but it's simply because the content of the video goes against what they believe ideologically, it's political, they don't agree with the political message within the video, then they should be sued. That's what can happen to publishers. That's what can happen to newspapers. If they remove somebody's news article simply because they don't believe in the politics contained within that article, then they can be sued by that reporter for removing their report, their article. And at the minute, YouTube's exempt from that. And so they can go around with impunity, removing channels, removing content that they disagree with politically. And there's a bias there. You have to understand there is a political bias within Google and YouTube. It's very left-leaning. We know this. This is why a lot of left-leaning channels, a lot of far-left channels, get away with absolute murder on this site. They can say lots of spicy things and not get any videos removed or get the channels removed. There's a bias there. So that's something you have to be aware of. A lot of people new to social media don't understand this. They think it's content creators removing the comments. No, it's not. It's YouTube. You've probably seen it. You've probably seen it in live chats. You've probably seen it in the comment sections. 1 minute your comment's there, the next minute it's gone. That's why you have to be very careful in the way that you word your comments. Yeah? Very careful. That's all I can say on that. So it's not me removing comments. It's YouTube. It's probably something you said, especially if you post links that aren't from YouTube. If you post links in your comment that are from an outside source, yeah, YouTube will just remove that instantly. It will get rid of it. So if you're posting links or anything of that nature, YouTube will just get rid of it. And that's mainly not due to censorship why they get rid of links. They mainly get rid of links because people post dangerous content where you click on a link and it can lead you to internet fraud and stuff like that. So that's one of the main reasons why YouTube blocks links to outside sources. It's actually to protect people, not to censor them, even though by doing it they are actually censoring people, because when you get in a debate you can't provide sources or outside sources of what you're saying. So yeah, just bear all this in mind when you're posting comments and stuff like that, that YouTube is not a free speech platform. If they feel that your comment has violated their terms of service, they will remove it. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing my mods can do about it. YouTube has editorial control over that, which they shouldn't do. Like I said, they get special exemptions in law to not act like editors, but they do. They are protected from being sued by content creators for unfairly removing content that doesn't violate any laws. So yeah, just want to point that out. So you're probably wondering why I chose this title name, the Pleb Protocol. Well, this harkens back to my days when I was a door supervisor and a head door supervisor, working the clubs and bars in towns and cities up and down the country. So we had something called the Pleb Protocol. So I'll tell you what this is, right? So as the night goes on in your venue, when you're doing your door supervisor work, you can do one or two things, and sometimes you swap around during the night. So you can be on the doors, the actual entrance of the venue, at the first part of the night, and then halfway through, you'll swap with the other door supervisors, and you'll be patrolling inside the venue. That's how usually it works. Just split the night up to keep things fresh. And so, what will happen is during the course of the night, you'll find various individuals that need to be escorted out of the venue and told they can't come back in, either because they're drunk, because a lot of people don't realise that being drunk inside a bar or a club is actually illegal. It's illegal to serve people alcohol that are drunk, believe it or not, in this country. That's why at a certain point, if you go up to a bar and you appear to be drunk, you're swaying, you're slurring your words, that's when the bar staff will most likely refuse to serve you. It's not because they're being arseholes, it's because they could generally use their license, their alcohol license, if they allow drunken people to keep buying alcohol in their venue. And that's where we step in. That's where the door supervisor sets in. 9 times out of 10, when a person is refused service, they will amicably remove themselves from the venue and walk out of their own accord and try the luck somewhere else. They'll probably go away, sober up somewhere, and go back into another nightclub. But sometimes what happens is people kick off, they get offended because they've been refused service, and then we get a call on the comms, the internal comms, from the bar staff saying we need assistance down at the bar or whatever. And we come down, we ask what the problem is, and if they start getting aggressive or kicking off, then we just escort them out, or we have to physically remove them from the premises. Now, over the course of the night, you can get quite a few people like this. Wow. Always happens. Always happens when I start talking. Right, so back to it. So, like I said, over the course of the night, you'll get a few of these people. Now, most of them just walk away from the venue, they disappear. But every now and again, you'll get people that just linger outside the venue. And what you get before long, sometimes over the course of the night, you can get quite a few people outside the venue that simply refuse to move. And if you're in an area where there are lots of venues and they're doing exactly the same thing, you'll start to get a big crowd of these people. We call them plebs. Plebs, people that just won't go home, that get aggressive because they've been turfed out of a nightclub because they're drunk or they're on drugs. They're just not thinking straight in what they're doing, and they'll start to congregate. Trust me, I'm getting to a point on this in a minute. I'm just using this as an example. They'll congregate outside venues. So what we'll do is we'll get on internal comms. We'll get on our pub watch radios and we'll say, guys, do you think it's time to enact the Pleb Protocol? And probably other venues, other door supervisors have a different name for it. But basically what we do is we just bring in our door supervisors from the outside. We shut the doors. They get behind the doors. People can still go in, but they're on the inside of the premises now. They're checking people as they come in from the inside rather than the outside. This serves as a purpose to stop engaging with these people. It gives these people that are lingering outside nothing to engage with. And what normally happens is they just go away. They just disappear. And we call that the Pleb Protocol. We all shut our doors, everybody goes inside, we stop giving them attention, we stop giving them something to focus their anger on, and they just go away. And the same thing happens on YouTube, right? So you get these people that push their luck regarding comments they're posting spicy comments, repeated warnings from mods or myself, and they just keep posting the same content over and over because they think, they've got a right to do so. And it comes to a point where you have to think the things they're posting is now starting to jeopardize the channel. And so you have to make a decision. It's like, yeah, that's it. Right, you're banned from the channel. Hide users from channel. You're gone. You had your warnings. You just kept on doing it. Yeah. And that's okay to do that. That's not affecting anybody's free speech. These people have the ability to create their own channel, to upload a video of their own, venting their anger as to why they think they've been unfairly treated. And that's their right to do so. And I've got no issues with that whatsoever. But what can happen is that you'll get YouTubers that you'll find that they can quite readily dish it out. But when it gets dished back to them, they don't like it. And so what will happen is the people that you've kicked off your channel will start to congregate around these people, just like the venue. And so what you have to do is you have to implement the Pleb Protocol, which is you just don't engage with them. Don't engage with them. Let them have their paranoid delusions. This is something you have to accept on the internet, that you're going to get people. I mean, I've been on the internet. Well, I've been on YouTube for over 20 years now. 20 years this year. And I've learned a lot. This isn't my first rodeo. These people that come at me think this is the first time I've been through this. No, it's not. I've seen these types of people before. And to be honest with you, I know once I have a few interactions with them, I know exactly the sort of personality type they are. And that's why I don't engage with them. They're not worthy of my time. They're not worthy of a video response. After the coming months, I've developed some protocols to put in place for this channel to see if people are worthy to interact with or to engage with. Right, so there's certain protocols, right? So the first one being, are they going to argue in good faith? Will they argue in good faith? What are their motivations behind wanting an interaction with me? Yeah. What is the positive outcome of having an interaction with this person? Will any good come of it, or will it just, Be a complete waste of time and energy. So those are the protocols in place on this channel. And if any of those things are no, then I don't engage with the person. And that's how I am now. They're quite free to go on their channel and spout their paranoid delusions about me. I don't care. I really don't care. Like Rupert Lowe says, I don't care. We don't care about these people. They're harmless. They're no threat to me. In fact, the best thing you can do with these people is allow them to keep speaking. Just let them keep speaking without any sort of interaction with them. Because the more they speak, the more absolutely paranoid and insane they start to sound. That's the way to deal with these people. Don't give them any oxygen. Starve them. Do exactly what we used to do outside the clubs and the nightclub, the bars and the nightclubs. Is just go inside, close the doors, and just let them talk to one another. And usually, sometimes, if there's nobody else to have a go at, they'll turn on each other. The plebs will turn on each other. They will start to attack each other because there's nothing for them to feed off. So the only thing they have to feed off is themselves. And that can get quite interesting. So yeah, I've got these people. I mean, obviously there are people going to be, once your channel gets to a certain size, people are going to make videos about you. They're not going to like what you're saying. And that's fine. That's fair enough. They're allowed to do what they want to do. They have the right to make the videos. I have the right not to interact with them anymore. And that's my choice. I don't choose to interact with these people. They've got nothing. They have nothing. All they have is their own paranoid delusions and opinion, and they assert those opinions as fact. And you can't have a rational conversation with people like that, because anybody who asserts their opinion as fact, you can't argue with them. You can't. There's no point, because it doesn't matter how much counter evidence you supply, how much of a good argument you put into it, they'll just dismiss it, because they'll just assert another opinion of theirs and call it fact. And there's really no point to the interaction at all. There really isn't. There's no point to it. And so the best thing that I can do, Mr. Magpie, is to let these people drift off into obscurity. Let them have their little paranoid delusions and just let them drift off into obscurity. Because eventually their own audience will get sick of their lack of evidence. They keep saying, oh, I'm going to provide evidence. I'll provide evidence for this. I'll provide evidence for that. And then when the time comes, no evidence is provided. It's just more opinion asserted as fact. And there's really no point interacting with them. Obviously, the mission of this channel is to get this country back. Everything else is a distraction. And interacting with those people is a distraction. It's a pointless waste of oxygen and energy. Trying to engage with these people, Mr. Magpie, again, it's pointless. It's futile. And you have to look at their agenda behind wanting an interaction. And it's drama. They just want attention. They want the clicks. They want the drama to feed, because maybe their views are going down again. So that's my stance on things. That's the direction this channel is moving forward. And since I've left all that behind, the channel is starting to grow again. We're starting to get the views back up again. And that's the direction of the channel. I don't care about these people. I really don't. Like I said, they're entitled to their opinion. They're allowed to make the videos about me that they want to make. I've also got the option, though, to not interact with them. And, I grant my audience with some intelligence to see what these people are about, to see that they're providing no evidence for what they're saying. It's just all opinion, all paranoid conspiracy delusion, and they're not worth any sort of oxygen from me whatsoever. I hope that clears things up a little bit about the direction of this channel, my mentality going forward, and my lack of interest in people that just want to, be basically drama whores. So, as far as I'm concerned, my job is to keep pushing forward, highlighting what's going on in this country, letting everybody know internationally what's going on, because I've got lots of international viewers now that are interested in what I'm saying. And that's the plan for this channel. We're going to expose everything that's going on in this country. And those people, the people that are trying to put a spanner in the works, they're just a distraction. They're subversives. They're to be ignored and to be just, rolled over. roll over them and go straight through them. That's what we have to do. Anyway, I've rambled enough. This is Vindicator, signing off.